I say I got it to work, it has a code that you can test it with the logo. And I thought, well, even if I don't have it in it, I can at least know that it's like, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it's Tinkercad, and it's free. It's completely free.
Kath, get Steve's phone number while you have it.
My phone number?
He's asking for it.
And I keep forgetting.
Yes, ma'am. You'll like that. It's that Tinkercad. It's got a, and it will walk you through all kinds of steps and all right. It's very good. I was using it to teach in my middle school engineering class, and my kids were making stuff out of it. Yeah. Well, that's what I was using for the 3D printers. Yeah. So that's what I was, the 3D printer.
I found
and
the
had
address
bought,
here under the public
a
works
couple
thing.
lower end laser in there. I got them to use it in the 3D printer.
Like, is that Main Street or where is that
The
at?
laser point. Well, I had bought two, and one of them was the Atom Stack, and one was the X-Tool. All right, now I have an X-Tool D1 Pro, and then I just bought the F1 Ultra.
We spent today mowing and
Yeah, we got
patch up ditches and everything else, so I had to bring it up a load of shells.
like 2 inches of rain in an hour yesterday afternoon. It was crazy.
This thing is expensive, and I'm just,
Right.
I'm waiting till I'm just.
Right.
It was this far, so I got the paver deck.
Yeah,
I got all kinds of things I'm
Right.
planning on and making design for. I can do this, can do that.
Radius to get on the deck. I mean, it filled my pool up about 5 inches.
I believe it. Yeah.
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm so keen on this thing is that it will emboss, it will make three-dimensional, all right? And it like stamps and pictures and all, and it'll make them in 3D. All right?
Good evening, everyone. Let me call the Oak Hill City Commission meeting to order at 6 o'clock, and if we'll stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Here.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Gazzagano,
Here.
Commissioner Hyde.
Here.
Any agenda modifications?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add under City Administrator Matters, an item for the Charter Review ballot questions. That'll be item K2.
Okay. Any others? Okay. We have a presentation this evening. It's Travis Allen's 5th year anniversary. Up front, Travis.
This won't hurt, we promise.
Front center.
Just a little bit. It's only a 5-pound sledgehammer. We've got a plaque for you.
Awesome.
And a little something to wear for. Thank you for all your work and hard work.
All right.
This is Rita Mary's grandson?
Well done, Travis.
You can go now, Travis.
Okay. Any citizens' participation, non-agenda items?
We have one. Gary Warney.
Jerome, last meeting, I asked 3 questions of you, and I have never gotten a response from you. So I'd like to readdress the questions again. At the March 25th meeting, you were asked by the commission to check with the county regarding plans for a homeless facility. And I asked you what you were able to find out. So, since you've had 2 weeks, can you tell me what you found out?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that, Mr. Mayor, if you'll allow me, public comment is not for you to come to the podium and question staff or commission. You've had time, you could have called me and asked me these questions, rather than try to come here and embarrass me.
I'm not trying to embarrass you. I asked these questions of you last week at our
the
last meeting.
Right.
And you could have answered my questions at that last meeting.
Or
Or you
you could have said
could
something
have
to me
emailed me
when you
the
called me.
answers.
You could have.
But I asked you the questions. You could have answered them for me.
So I have
So-
reached out to the county. I've contacted one of the cities that they have works with First Step to meet the requirement. And I've reached out to the director of First Step. I haven't heard back yet. I'm waiting to hear back.
So none of them have made any plans or done anything. Okay.
They have an agreement with First Step, and that's how they take care of their homeless issue.
First, what was it?
First Step.
First step.
First place. Okay.
First Step.
First Step.
First Step.
Okay. Well, then I will just ask for you to, perhaps, I'll give Tasha the list of questions, the same ones I asked last week, and perhaps you can email me the answers to the questions. Okay? So there's all the questions, and if you can answer those questions, I would hope you'd have them.
Carrie, I think Sam Bergeron in Edgewater is gonna be in charge of the brownfield.
She is.
Yeah. Sam Bergeron.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's one question.
great. We got some answers.
You know, Mr. Mayor, if you'll allow me again, I'd just like to point out, for those who may not know, as far as staff is concerned for the city, it's 5 people, 3 of which are public works. This is your internal admin staff. It's not like we're sitting there doing nothing. We have tons of work to do. So if we don't get back to you immediately, or as soon as you would like us to, it's not because we don't want to, it's because we are extremely busy.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else. Move on to city admin report. 591 Cherokee Boulevard.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we have contacted the Homeowners Association and made the offer for them to, for us to give that property to them in exchange for them waiving the fees, and they have accepted it. I'm working with our attorney right now to get the paperwork completed so that we can transfer the property to them and be relieved of that $10,000 that they said we owe them.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Good deal.
Good.
All right, let's move on to consent agenda, commission meeting minutes, June the 10th, 2024.
I'll
make a motion, we accept the minutes as written and for June 10th, 2024.
I'll second it. And thank Drew again for doing such a good job.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? None? Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Gatsgano,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyden.
Yes.
Motion passes. City Attorney, we don't have anything that I'm aware of. Mr. Adams?
No, sir.
None? City Planner?
Nothing today.
Nothing, thank you. Next, City Engineer, Mead & Hunt, Development Review and Inspection.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the engineers contacted me regarding the retainer, if you will, that they charge the city for doing their reviews. We've been having a lot of development, applications coming in for development, and it's more than what they had expected. So they're asking to increase it from 15,000 to 40,000. Just to point out, this is not money that's going to be coming out of the city's coffers. These are fees that will be passed on to the applicants when they submit their application and plans, and it's reviewed by the engineers. Those fees get passed on to them.
Do you need a motion?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
I'll make a motion that we agree to the change order for Mead & Hunt Development Review and Inspection.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion from the commission?
You answered my question in there about passing those fees
Fees
on,
on.
the developments, we're paying those fees.
Yes.
Yep.
Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Gatsgano,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyden.
Yes.
Motion passes. Volusia County Sheriff's items.
Nothing today, sir.
Okay. Next, City Administrator matters.
Sir,
Audit, single audit fee.
this first item is from our auditors, Carl Riggs and Ingram. They sent a communication to me stating that they have, as a state requirement, they have to do an audit called a single fee audit of grants that the city receives. The cost for the audit is $5,000. We have 2 grants that they need to audit. The reason why this is coming to us, they said they did not realize that we had grants that they would be needing to audit.
I don't understand. We've done, this is not the first time we've had grants.
No.
No. Let's not go back. This is only 2.
Unfortunately, it's a state requirement for them to do the audit, so we're pretty much stuck. We don't have an option but to have the audit though. And since they're the ones doing the audit for us, this is their fee for
Now, is there a
that audit.
cap on these audits in there? I mean, all right, they're charging $5,000 an audit. Now, is that irregardless of whether it's a $2 million grant or a $500 grant?
I don't know if there's a cap on the dollar value of the grant. They just said that that was what their fee was for each grant that they had to audit.
Do you know which grants they are?
The DEP audit grant and the
Grant.
St. John's.
Oh, okay, so that's Indian Harbor Estates.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
Those are
large
current.
grants.
we need a motion.
Mayor Gibson,
No,
sorry.
I make a motion, we accept the additional single grant fee from the auditor.
And I'll second the
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. Discussion from the commission.
It's for a total of 10,000?
Yes.
5,000 each.
Any other? Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Gatsgano,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyden.
Yes.
Under old business,
Wait a minute,
applied
sir.
ecology.
There's one.
Oh, you got,
more.
oh, you
There's
added
one more.
charter review questions, okay. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Sorry, this was not on the agenda. It came in after I had closed preparation of the agenda. But I did forward it to the commission so that they could review. It's from our attorney. He started working on the ordinance and ballot questions for the charter review. And he just wanted to have you take a look at it. It's not for a vote today, just for you to look at to see if there's any changes you would like to make so that we can make those changes and bring it back for the July 8th meeting. He did have 2 suggestions. The first one was in regards to the 3 unexcused absences. 3 unexcused absences in a year, he changed to a 12-month period, just so we can have a definition as far as what is a
Yeah,
year.
it's a
Yeah, I
fiscal year,
saw that.
calendar year, and
Right.
12 months is 12 months, so
Right.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And the second one was in section 4.01E. He just tried to clarify the wording to show that the elected officials' authority comes from the state constitution, state law, and city charter. So if you've had a chance to look at it, if you have any questions or any changes or any modifications that you'd like to make.
The only thing I've got is that we've got some typos in the ordinance,
Okay.
the ordinance, in there, there's Oak Hill is UAK.
Yeah, I started going through and
then
making those
Authority
changes.
that's missing an A,
Yeah, I started making those changes
so, yeah, we need to,
after I had already sent this to you.
we need to run some spell
Yes.
check. That's, I don't have anything.
So if everything as he's presented looks okay, we'll fix those spelling errors.
Yeah.
And we bring it back for the first reading on July 8th.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, now, old business, applied ecology, groundwater testing.
Yes, sir, this is, at one of our previous meetings, I was asked to contact Applied Ecology to send their agreement for restarting the testing of the groundwater. So what you have before you is the agreement that they sent. It's the same cost of $43,000. So this is just for you to authorize me signing it and sending it over to them so that they can start doing the testing. They can resume testing.
Well, their agreement states under schedule, once connections are complete, not halfway, not 1/3, not 2/3, when they're complete. And to me, it's more beneficial to have everybody that's gonna hook in within that time frame before we start these testing.
Exactly.
That's just my
I agree with
2
that.
cents.
Yeah, I think that the start time should be
When everybody is hooked up.
when we've got everybody hooked up. That's
Well,
when
I
the
don't-
impact is gonna be.
I gotta
better.
say, I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't agree with it is because if we wait until everybody's hooked up to start testing, and the well tests show that now the water levels, the levels have gone down, how are we gonna be able to tell when that started? Did it start when the first few systems were hooked up, or when half of the systems were hooked up, or when 3/4 of the systems were hooked up? And I think we're gonna lose some transitional information if we wait until all of the systems are done, because that could be another couple of years before everybody's finally up and going.
I understand what you're saying, Bill, but really, what difference does it make if half the people are hooked up to it in there, other than you get a jump on, yeah, there's a, and I'm pulling numbers out of there, 20% reduction in nitrogen, you know, something like that, or whatever the particular chemical is in there. But what we're looking for here is the big picture, I
Right.
think, in that, all right, with the grants and all this stuff, we've put 300 septic tank conversions, all right?
Mhm.
And it's reduced the groundwater contaminant by X amount. And then we take that information and back up to St. John's and Volusia and the state and go, hey, let's do this some more, it's worth it.
Okay.
I mean,
I think Commissioner Linlau is onto something, because what you would learn, I think, from his methodology there would be where the tipping point was.
Mhm.
And that could be some valuable information, because we could make some,
Because no one's ever done that
judgments.
in the state before, to see
Yeah, we've only-
when it actually
well, that
starts.
part's, yeah, getting it done as
to
soon as
follow.
we can, getting some information is important, because, yeah, we're the first ones doing this, to my knowledge. and that
Yeah, I called all over the
information
state
will
when
be
we started, and there was
used. Yeah.
nobody doing it.
I mean, that's certainly, so I'm not hung over on that, just
Mm-hmm.
doing it this way, we're gonna pay for it for an extended period of time.
Well, it takes time to get data too, you know,
Yeah,
it's not
right.
something you do quickly.
Right, so, but I don't have.
It's up,
any
you know, it's up to the
objection,
commission. If you guys want to wait, then we'll have to wait.
but- Well, that's
Is there a
what-
particular amount of connections that you think would be the best starting point,
Well,
Bill?
we've decided, we talked about it last time this came up,
Right.
at the halfway point, we'd start the testing
That's
again.
what we're, 150.
And we're past the halfway point.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah,
that
150.
150 something, 80, yeah.
And 142, I think, was the halfway point, so.
Yeah,
I'd like
There's
to-
valuable information to be gained,
Yeah.
I don't question that, all right, so, but we're gonna wind up doing this over an extended period of
Indefinitely.
time. Right.
Well, not
Which, I mean,
indefinitely, but it's
that's-
definitely going to take a few years to get
Yeah.
all the information.
right.
Didn't it take 6 months before they brought any figures to us?
Till we're doing testing, yeah.
Yeah.
It was 12 months after, and then there
12
was
months we
6
got the
months
first
worth
report.
of analyst and analysis
Right.
and all of that, and then 3 months to prepare the reports, and so, yeah, it was.
A lengthy amount of time.
Pretty detailed.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, we hope the data backs up the expense,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it will,
Yeah, I do too.
so.
And I gotta say, and I don't know if it's from the rain that we've had over the weekend or what the deal was, but when I was down on the dock this morning, the water was a lot clearer in the canal than it had been in a long time.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't know if that's from people hooking up or if it's just from the dilution of the rainwater, but it's like, wow,
The river's been cleaned,
yeah.
clear.
So
It's unusual this time of year.
we're heading in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't do anything but authorize to move forward with this, correct, Mr. Adams?
Yes, that would be,
Need a motion to do that, or just consensus?
I take a motion.
Oh. Is there a motion?
There's
I'll
a
make a
motion,
motion.
yes.
We have a motion and a
Approve.
second to move forward with applied ecology. Okay. Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Gascano,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Yes.
Ah,
Well, thank you all for your support.
New business. River to Sea TPO.
Yes, every 10 years, when the census is done, they recalculate the figures that they charge each city. And it goes by population. They charge 10 cents per person in the city. So our fee went up from $187 a year to $220 or something, like $40 difference.
So this is basically to get the commission's approval.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next. Edward Bynum Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
Yes, sir, this is from the FDLE. They have a grant that they want to issue to two agencies, SMA Healthcare and the House Next Door, but they need a majority of the municipalities to agree that this is what they want or where they want the funds to be spent. So they're asking if we could, if we approve, if we could send them a letter saying, yes, we agree, this is where we would like the money to go. So this is just for you to say whether or not you want to agree, or if not, and if you want to send a
It's
letter.
good use of the money, and it's not
Yeah.
it's state money
What is
that,
SMA Healthcare and the house next door?
yeah, the SMA is dealing with disabled kids and families
Oh, okay.
in need, and it's healthcare
Oh, okay.
overall.
Yeah.
So they're a big organization that does a lot of good.
Oh, okay, cool.
We actually donate to them when we go to the lawyers' parties.
Yeah,
No, it's a good
So it's
organization.
very good, yeah.
you just need a consensus to send the letter of approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
no no's, okay. City goals, same as they've been.
Keep the city moving along as best as we can with the staff that we have.
Boards and committees,
Magistrate sends her regards, and beyond that, I have nothing else.
Wow.
thank you. Mike Arman.
Oh, and the tree thing too, right?
Public Works, oak tree removal, 186 North Putnam Grove Road.
Good evening, folks. Mark Bell, Public Works Supervisor for the City of Oak Hill. There are several pictures there. I don't know if you guys have copies of these.
Yeah.
This
A bunch
first
of 'em.
picture- What's that?
We got a bunch of them.
A
Yep.
bunch of them. There's a couple of concerns. When you look at this picture here, this is me standing in the gentleman's driveway. When he's trying to back out of the driveway, him and his wife have a very hard time seeing what's coming down the road. That's one problem. The other problem is in both of these pictures, it actually looks way worse in person than it does on paper. The roots of the tree are uprooting the edge of the asphalt. The tree itself is, to the center of the tree is about 7 to 7.5 feet off the edge of the road. It is a pretty big live oak tree. It's about 32 inches in diameter at breast height, which is where they measure them at. It's not historic, but I did include another picture here so you can kind of see the size of the tree and the fact that it's over several different power lines and whatnot. It is probably going to be expensive to remove. My guess would be, in being in that field, to remove the tree and drying the stump, you're probably in the $4,000 to $5,000 range on a high end. But I wanted to come to you guys to see if it was something that you wanted to try to address before I went and badgered people to give me estimates on it.
You know, from my point of view, from the pictures I saw and then going by over there, that it's tearing up the road and it's causing a problem. And as soon as we get a bad hurricane through here, it's gonna cause us a whole lot more
Yeah,
problems.
especially if the line
Yes,
comes down the
by the
power lines.
lines, yeah,
Yeah,
power
and
lines.
the tree is weighted all basically to the south, because there are oak trees behind it, so there's actually no back weight on the tree. When you look in that picture, it goes up and out over the road.
It's gonna
and
cause us
and over the line.
Yeah,
But like I said, my guess is somewhere in the $4,000 to $5,000 range for removal and stump grinding. But I wanted to bring that to
It
you guys
costs us more
first.
than that to fix the damage from whatever it does if it comes
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, it
Mr.
would.
Adams, do we still have funds for, it's just gonna fall under streets and roads?
Yes, sir, we do.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we look for bids to remove that tree on Putnam Grove Road.
Second.
Second.
Any comments from the commissioners? Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw.
Yes.
Commissioner McGee.
Yes.
Commissioner Gatsagano.
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes,
Sorry, who was the second? Who
They
second?
said
Linda,
it.
or I
did.
pick one.
I have
we had a third.
You guys said to go look for bids. Do you want me to bring back the bid prices as long as they're under that threshold, or do you want me to?
You've got a limit with the city administrator who, right?
Yeah, oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yes.
As long as it's within his.
Thank you.
Just within his purview of,
Okay. Next, comments and concerns from commissioners, starting with Ms. Hyatt.
I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Catagama?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I guess the first thing was this letter from Tammy Creek. Everybody got that? I thought the
On
most
North
interesting.
Gaines, Yeah.
Right. I thought the most interesting part of that was the last paragraph. Stormwater from new development runs into county ditches that absolves the county from responsibility to maintain that ditch.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
Well, I wrote the same thing down in there, and the question is, does the county doesn't have, it resolves them from the ditch that the developer puts in, or the ditch that is there now that the developer taps into? Which ditch are we referring to? That was what was running through my head, right? Because
I mean, the county has a responsibility to maintain the ditches no matter who.
where the source of the water,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So, yeah, I don't, unless they're talking about they don't have a responsibility to maintain the developer's ditch.
Maybe, that may be,
That makes sense to me.
yeah.
So,
We need to have that spelled
Jerome,
out.
that would, yeah,
Yeah,
because I had the
what I was
same,
gonna say is that we
Just
probably,
clarify.
in order to
yeah,
protect the
pull
city's
the string
interest,
on that.
that we need to look into it. I guess she even gives the guy's name, Mark Shaw.
He's just been working for the commission, for the county, they're doing that stuff for a long time.
Yeah, that was, I had some
We
concern
actually
about
have,
that.
Tammy,
Tammy Creek here, if you'd like
Oh.
to have her.
Tammy Creek, 124 North Gaines. So Mark Shaw was the supervisor of the county, and when they finished the fence, he walked over to me and gave me that information to relay to me. And I was shocked too, but he said, tell them the existing ditches, so the developments have to have their own plan for their stormwater, correct?
Right.
And if that isn't, if somehow that water gets into their, overflows into the current ditches they're responsible for, that negates their responsibility to maintain it. You can look into it, but that's just what he told me to tell you guys, and I was surprised as well. So you can follow up with Shane, is the public outreach, I called them, he's the public outreach person at the mosquito control, or this man named TJ, I didn't get any of his last names. He's the one that's been around in the county that has the most knowledge of our issues.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but just for your information,
Sure.
the majority of our development, the requirement is to retain the water on the
On
site.
site,
Right.
yeah.
So it's not that they can dig a ditch and just pipe the water
Right,
into.
he said it's required, but if they don't, if that happens, he said FYI, if we see any of their,
That,
okay,
we need to pull the string.
Yeah, we'll need to
That does
clarify
not make
that.
sense,
Yeah.
that,
that it would.
somebody digs a ditch and connects to the Volusia County, goes, not my problem.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he said that, and so you guys should follow up, because he made it clear, like, well, if you guys, if that happens, we're not coming, we're not
Yeah,
gonna
right.
maintain it.
Yeah, I had the same thing that
Okay.
Joe came up with.
Thank you very much.
I have
Thank
a
you.
question about that. I wasn't here when the Lagoon Mist project started, but their retention pond on the west side of their property, it has an overflow weir that goes directly into the canal that connects to where she lives at.
Right.
When that is that done in correlation with St. John's and the county and everybody else?
Permit was issued by St. John's.
Because they do have a retention pond, but if it were to overflow, they have an overflow weir that ties directly into the ditch between them and US 1 right there along Lagoon. So I don't
Yeah, I'm in
know.
agreement with what the mayor just said, that permit for that retention pond and the overflow has to go through St. John's Water Management District.
Yeah, that's why I was curious, because we already have a new development that's been put in that has the capabilities of overflowing into one of our.
I guess the question would be,
canal
was that permit issued initially when Lagoon Mist was first platted? Or was it redone when Adams Homes built it?
Good question.
Yeah.
Because it may have been an old permit that was issued that was to standards from years ago instead of the new modern standards.
That's the only example I can think of in town where
Yeah.
that issue may apply right now.
Well, if you remember correctly, there was a guy that came from Lagoon Mist, you remember that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what his name was. It's
He was
escaped-
complaining because the water level was
Right.
too low.
And I think, like, in that retention pond, there's a standpipe
Right.
at the very north end of it.
North end of
You can
it,
see
yes.
it sticking up. So apparently, when the county guy was doing the ditches, water ran out of there, because that's what got the guy upset. So does that mean that, and that's a big main ditch, I mean, it's the one that comes up behind the church.
Yeah.
The one that
Yes.
goes through Tammy Creek's property.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to, did we just like forfeit something there because
I don't know.
the water ran out of the retention pond, and I don't even know why, or did
Well,
they?
when they cleaned that ditch was there,
Yeah,
but they cleaned it out and it actually
Made all
was
the difference.
functional.
right,
So all of a sudden it started draining water.
right.
Wow.
It must have been over.
And
top-
you noticed.
So,
Doing what it's
top of
supposed to
the
do.
standpipe
Who'd have
then.
thought?
what's that?
It must have been higher than the standpipe,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
right.
And it
yeah.
just wasn't running through.
And the water was not running through it until they cleaned it out, and then the water went, hey.
I got you.
You still have the floor?
Yeah, the other issue that I have is, so a couple of weeks ago, or meetings ago, citizen Ron Engel had got up and made a comment about a ethics complaint that he had filed against me. And Mr. Mayor, you had wrote about it in your newsletter here. And I was wondering, have you had any updates on that?
No, you'll hear it before.
You'll hear it first,
Before I
if it's
do.
Ethics
Right.
Commission, yeah.
So I got a letter back.
Okay,
And I was hoping to have the opportunity to read it into the
please.
record for you. I'll try to skip over the wherefores and therefores, but it says on Friday, June the 7th of 2024, the Commission on Ethics met in an executive session, considered this complaint for legal sufficiency pursuant to blah, 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 some big number. And the commission review was limited to questions of jurisdiction of the commission and of the adequacy of details of the complaint to allege a violation of the Code of Ethics for public officers and employees. No factual investigation preceded the review, and therefore the commission's conclusions do not reflect on the accuracy of the allegations of the complaint. And this is, the commission voted to dismiss the complaint for lack of legal sufficiency based on the following analysis. And number one, they said the complaint was filed by Ron Ingalls of Oak Hill, Florida. The two, the respondent, Joseph A. Catagano, was allegedly a commissioner for the city of Oak Hill at the time of the alleged misconduct. The commission alleges that the respondent, prior to his election, objected to a rezoning and development project planned for an area near his own property. The complaint alleges that the respondent also unsuccessfully filed suit against the city to prevent the project from moving forward. The complaint alleges that the respondent then successfully ran for election to the city commission. Number four, the complaint alleges that the respondent then voted as a city commissioner against the preliminary development plan for the project. And then at number five, it goes on to discuss a section of Florida statute, and it says it's warrant a discussion of that section based on the allegations in the complaint. And just to spare you all the the part in there that seems to jump out the most is no county, municipal, or other local public officer shall vote in an official capacity upon any measure in which would inure to his or her a special private gain or loss. And it goes on past that, but I'll stop there, because that's pretty much, I like the word inure, though. I've never heard that one before.
Kind of like money.
Well, the main thing is it was dismissed.
Yes.
That's the
So-
most important one to me.
So then it says that they couldn't, anyway, number six, the complaint fails to indicate a possible violation. To indicate a possible violation of the statute, a complaint must allege in a factual and substantive, non-conclusory manner that the respondent voted on a matter that would inure to his or her special private gain or loss. The commission has opined that the potential special private gain or loss that may stem from voting on the development projects planned for the area adjacent to where the public official owns is too remote or speculative to sustain charges of violating section 121-3143. Therefore, the complaint fails to allege that the respondent has voted on a matter that ignores the special private gain or loss of the respondent, the respondent's relatives, or the respondent's business association, or a principal by whom the respondent was retained. And accordingly, this complaint is hereby dismissed for failure to constitute a legally sufficient complaint with the issuance of this public report. And that's the end of that.
Good. Just give it
Got-
to Jerome and let
The
him
next
put a
news
copy in
letter, I
there.
will put that it was dismissed.
Thank you.
And you can put it
Very
in
big
your
of you.
file, your personal file. Ask Jerome to put it in your
All
file,
right.
a copy.
You want this, Jerome?
Well, a
Could
copy,
you
you
hand it down
know.
to?
You want the original.
One other thing that, to add, at the end of his public speaking, Mr. Ingles got up and he brought his complaint up to Jerome, and he gave it to Jerome and asked him to hand it up to the city attorney. And he was saying that they were frivolous lawsuits and that he wanted the city to try to recover the funds from that. And while I was reviewing the lawyer's billing records, I noticed that he has a charge to the city for that. Review ethics complaint filed against commissioner, $70. And I was just curious, are we giving free legal advice to our citizens now? I mean, is that something that's open to all of the citizens, or is it just to Ron Ingalls?
Good question.
I think the city attorney I would hope would review any ethics complaints against any of us.
I would hope, yeah.
Because that's what they're,
Because you want them to back you up if
Ron
you need
Ron
'em.
Ingalls is a private citizen.
right.
So he took it upon himself to file what I think is a frivolous ethics complaint against me. And then he brought it up and gave it to Jerome and asked Jerome to give it to the city attorney. And I'm just curious, because if he can have that done, what would stop any citizen from coming here and seeking free legal advice from our city attorney at taxpayer expense? Because I'm not seeing how the taxpayer benefited in any way from that. And I would hope that somebody would, that the commission would ask Mr. Ingalls for the $70 back, just to make us whole again. So that's all I have.
Well, it won't hurt to ask the city attorney
Yeah.
to get an opinion on just that.
Good idea.
Obtaining the charge, what was it, $70?
$70, yeah.
$70? Yeah,
Yep.
to me, we can.
0.4 hours.
We can ask the city administrator to just do exactly that and get an opinion.
And the,
And if the opinion comes back that, yes, we should do that, and give Mr. Adams the authority to proceed with a letter of collection.
it's good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Adams?
It's not his
Okay.
first time doing stuff like that.
Anything else,
Well,
Commissioner?
I wanted to talk about Cheryl White,
Okay.
our neighbor here, but I don't want to take up too much time, because this is like the earliest that we're going to be out of here in a long time.
That's okay.
Daylight.
But, so Cheryl White reached out to me a long time ago, and I've been working with her, trying to get her back on her feet over there, and it's just a wonderful thing that's happening. I don't know if you guys have been watching
Yeah.
now her roof is on and her
Very
siding
nice
is on,
house.
Yeah.
and that's a great deal. What I'm concerned about is that the city hasn't taken any action to prevent this from happening again. And I was just wondering if we have any kind of a plan in the works, or when I was working with her, this was before Jerome had come to the city, when Gwen Johns was still in the office, and I went there to talk to her about the building, because Cheryl White had pointed out to me that there was like a staged progression of worseness of the flooding, for lack of a better way in my mind to say that. But she said that when the Garrett house was still there, when the Garrett House was removed and the city put, increased the size of the parking lot, the flooding started to get worse. She said it was always somewhat prone to flooding there from the time that they had put in Route 1, or they improved Route 1.
Yeah.
They raised it. She said, so it started going then, but then when they took out the Garrett House and more shell was put down or something, the water started rushing off of their worth. And then when they put up the metal building, that's when she said it one over the top, where it was just like a river of water flooding in there during, substantial, it wasn't just light rain, I mean, it was a substantial storms when this happened. So I came over to the city and I asked for, I didn't realize that it wasn't, that you're not supposed to ask for the blueprints for city government buildings. And Gwen pointed that out to me. But she did say that Mead and Hunt was working on this parking lot thing. Remember that thing that we talked about a couple meetings ago, and they wanted 60 grand to finish it?
Yeah.
So she gave me that, what they had there, and I reached out to Janet Shearer, the planner, and her husband is a civil engineer that has extensive experience working with municipalities around in Volusia County and other counties for that matter. And so they came and visited with Cheryl White, and he looked at those plans, and they both did. And they saw that they had drawn a retention pond. It was a long, skinny retention pond in the plans on the north side of the metal building. And I don't know, now that we didn't actually approve the 60,000 to get that plan completed, the parking lot. So I'm not sure exactly where we are on that. And I one of the other things that I wanted to ask is that she had given this complaint right here to, the code enforcement, and she actually, I like it, she put down the violator name, the City of Oak Hill, and she handed in this form. And I don't know if anything, did Mike, I don't even know if he was here when she did this.
My recollection when all this started, and I forget who it was. I mean, we can go back and look in the minutes, but anyway, when that complaint was filed, okay, they went out there and they built up a berm.
Is that the pieces of wood that they laid
Yes.
along there?
Yes. Okay, they built up this berm, and that was supposed to relieve the problem, because they didn't think the water was coming from that building. Sunday, with all that rain, I drove over here because Commissioner Catagano put it on Facebook. I took pictures. There was no rain in Mrs. White's yard. There was no puddles next to the building. Where's the water coming from? Because we got 1 inch of rain. And I'm not an engineer, but I would have thought there would have been water in that yard. And I don't, like you said about that retention pond, I'll have to dig through the files, because I don't remember us having to put a retention pond in when that building was built. Do you?
No, it's not
Do
from
you?
that. It was from the parking lot drawings.
From the parking lot?
Yeah, because I don't think there was any, I asked for information about the metal building, because it's built up quite higher than her.
Oh, it
her
is.
property.
Yeah.
And whether or not the source is is from that, it's not clear to me.
Yes.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, it's
But
30
when you
feet
watch the
from our
videos,
property
right,
line.
I hope you watched the videos that I
Yes.
went and
Yeah.
I mean, it's running like a river out of there.
But
And it's going under the logs.
yes.
And the logs are nice
And
for
there's,
retaining the
and there's
debris,
water
but
coming
not,
from the back property of hers, from some, other
I'm not
property.
sure about that, but I wouldn't doubt it, because it seems like everybody has built up around her.
yes.
But the
And that old house that she lived in was in a hole.
1959
Was
when
it
that
all,
one-
yeah.
You know, it was in a hole.
Which is
And-
why it's being built up off the ground now, so that it doesn't have the
Well,
same
she
issue with
won't
the
have that
flooding.
problem until she steps out the door.
Yeah, now she's gonna be sitting in an island if it, I had kind of made that point and when I was writing about her case there.
We'll have to me, we have to pull those on that parking lot. I remember that parking lot,
I was
$700,000.
gonna say, that was pretty expensive.
It was expensive. I just think that it's a wonderful thing that happens, and I just would hate to see the city, you know, if a hurricane did hit, and, because, you know, if you came and looked and you didn't see anything with an inch of rain, you know, that's a good
That's a good
safety
amount of rain.
point.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a lot of rain.
Yes.
And it rained like heck. I mean, I was here.
Yeah.
But I think that those videos that she took were from like right after a really dramatic rain event, whether it was a hurricane or something, and they're not new.
I
It was
know,
probably way back when.
Was it
Well,
before the
2011.
berm?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't preferred.
Because I remember
The
when
berm's
we
there, you
talked
can-
about, because it was, when she submitted that, we went through there and they put the, you know, the solution then was
yeah, well, they
to
said.
build that barrier up
Mhm.
in there to keep
They're
any
in,
of that
it's in the
water.
video. The berm
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
You know, the pieces, I guess they're, utility poles, is
They
what it
look-
looks like. Yeah.
But it wasn't Ian, was it? I mean, when we got 21 inches of rain in 24 hours?
I'm not sure. It was one of those.
I mean, there's nothing gonna not flood out and, you know, unless you're 20
She
feet
flooded
up from
prior to
one.
that because she came to the commission prior
Yeah.
to that about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She said she's been to 2 commission meetings and spoke. She filed this. She talked to Con extensively about it, and also Erin. She loves Erin, by the way.
So, I do remember
Yeah.
coming in there, and that, the berm, the barrier in there to keep water on this side.
You know Cheryl White, right?
I
She's
know
a
of her.
lovely lady. She's very meek and afraid. She doesn't want to talk to the city, and that's when she came and asked me if I would do it on her behalf. So here I am doing it on her behalf. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up to you guys and let you know that this problem exists, and hopefully we can figure out some way to at least give her some relief before the hurricanes get here, if they get here.
The fear I have is we get a hurricane and it dumps 24 hours worth of rain. How deep a damn hole do we dig
It's not gonna
Right.
move.
to try to stop the water from going in that
Well,
direction?
Janet's husband said that he did some calculations, I don't know what the heck he was doing, but he said that the pond that they had proposed on Mead and Hunt needs to be like 20 feet longer. It didn't have the capacity. And he said that it needed to be, it'd be extended
See,
almost
that's
to
my concern.
almost to the dumpsters, he said, because they have it ending like almost, have you seen those drawings?
Yes, sir.
It ends just a little ways past the building, right, the retention pond?
Yeah, you're talking about the steel building?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
there, you can, when you look at the layout from the proposed parking lot, it's basically just a little bit longer than the building is itself, but it's in that little narrow area between the building and the property.
line.
Yeah, it's more, it looks more like a lap pool instead of a.
Right, it was long and thin, because that's the only room they had, really.
Well,
It's tight over there. What is it? How far is it from the building to her property line, do you know?
30
the
feet.
building
30
to the
feet?
Property line, yeah, I don't think it's more than 30 feet.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't know why they wouldn't have moved the pond back further, because we own almost all the way to the railroad tracks back there. and
Yep.
Behind our building is like a big giant dead spot. You could put it back there and run a canal or run a ditch. All the
Well, that
way
was
down
all
the property line.
preliminary, engineering.
Yeah.
Based on a parking lot
Yeah.
being in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Not
I think
that
that pond that they had proposed in there wasn't to keep her from flooding, it was to handle the water
From
in the
the-
new parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
is what it
Right,
was.
which floods her.
Yeah,
So it was to keep her from flooding.
well, I don't think the original drawing for the pond there was to keep her from flooding, I think it was to handle the water from the new parking lot project, to handle basically, what's the new code, you have to retain your own stormwater, I think it was
It's
big enough.
up to a
retain
certain
ours.
amount, though. It's not, you have to retain every drop. It's like,
No.
what is it, 100-year flood thing or
Yes.
something?
100-year
There is
flood
a top
plan,
on
right.
that.
Yeah.
And,
But I
and
think
so
that's
what
it
I would
was.
say as, as a commissioner, is, the city should lead by example. And when we put these requirements on developers and business owners and things like that they have to retain their stormwater on site, I think the city should have to as well. And That's just my take on that whole thing.
Well,
Sounds reasonable.
Yep.
reasonable, but first action there, I think, is where's the water coming from? Is it coming from the city property?
It is,
Yes,
no doubt about that.
without a doubt. Yes. If you go out there and look right now, you can still see where all the water runs right past that big Norfolk pine on the corner there, in between it and the large live oak. It looks like someone turned on a fire hydrant over here and just let the water run all through our Shell parking lot. You can see where the water just continues to run
Okay,
due south to her place.
okay.
It didn't do it on Sunday.
I didn't have a pond on Sunday either, and I usually have one at any time. It's so dry, the water went down.
Yeah.
I mean, when it hit the ground, it went right on in.
But that's all I have, anyway.
Steve?
The other thing is, we got 4th of July coming up here soon, and, you know, people, please be careful, and they're already getting out and selling fireworks, and I've actually already heard a few
Poor kitties.
early
Yep.
birds, you know, shooting up, please, you know, particularly now,
And the
you know, we're
dogs.
getting some
Well,
rain,
the-
that's
The
good.
park is full of dogs.
It's still
It
dry,
scares
so
them, too.
please be careful and
I hate that about
please
the
pass
passing.
that on. But
Okay. Everybody, we were waiting for the governor to sign the budget because we had $500,000 for storm water work. Governor decided to redline every water project in Volusia County, including Oak Hill's 500,000. But the bottom line is, we need to direct Mr. Adams to go after FEMA mitigation grant and see if we can't get money from FEMA to clean our ditches. By consensus?
Yeah,
yes.
Consensus, yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Next thing is the horses in Sunrise Park. Over the past several months, I've got pictures of 2 horse trailers, 2 trucks occupying 1/2 of all of the parking. A 3rd trailer was across the road with its wheels in the road. My question is, does the commission want to proceed with amending our parks regulation to state no horses in the park? Scott gave an opinion, and I'm quoting from memory. We can either deny businesses in the parks. That, I think, is going to create bigger issues than stopping horses. Mainly because birthday parties are held and everybody rents bounce houses or gets somebody to come and cook. So if we say businesses can work in the parks, then he suggested that we have some type of contract, make the individuals who are in business indemnify the city as an additional insured on their insurance policy. Or we can not allow businesses in the park. A number of people have come to me and said it's dangerous for these horses and children. And I realized the young lady that owns this, her city says no horses in the park. She gave a presentation and says she's not doing business in the city or in the parks. She's only traversing the kayak launch. That's where all the children who go swimming traverse to get into the river because of the rocks that are along the front. So, the question is, do we advise Jerome to proceed? And how to proceed?
I think it's just eliminating the horses in the park. That's the simplest solution there. If we do businesses, we're gonna get, like I say, there's all kind of birthday parties and celebrations and DJs and
Yeah, I don't wanna do
fundraisers
that.
and all kinds of things that happen in the park that are legitimate and, all right, so I think just keeping the horses out of the parks is the simplest solution.
You're gonna have horses walking where you got little kids playing, and there's a liability there. That's no big deal.
And there's other solutions, and I don't know about how hard it is to go down to Bill's Hill, all right, for the horses to go in the water, if that's what they want, or down 3A and go down to.
The problem with that.
Beacon Light,
Beacon 42.
Beacon 42 Fish Camp. There's a big grass parking lot down there, they can park down there.
That's all federal,
Yep.
and they're not gonna
They're
allow
not gonna allow it, right?
I think they allow it on the Canaveral Seashore Beach.
it. Do they?
Yeah.
You
And
gotta get a
that's
permit.
feds.
Gotta get
So,
a permit?
but that's-
I go to the Canal Seashore office to get a permit.
Ah,
I think that's a solution for them if they want to go down, and walk the horses in the water, right, that's available to them. And, you know, there's plenty of room down there at that Beacon 42 to park a trailer, horse trailer.
She'll be able to put it right at
I
Central
I
West.
stay out of there. They keep breaking into my car.
They're breaking in your car
Yeah,
there?
one down
They-
there
Really?
in the WSEG boat ramp.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Well, that's what I suggest. But we not allow the horses in our parks.
Commissioner Catagona?
Well, I would say that if it was, just at first glance, it would appear as though the city was singling out a particular business, because she has approached us and asked us for that, and I would be cautious about that, because that could backfire.
How?
What if she got ticked off and filed a lawsuit against the city, saying that we were
Take
discriminating
a
against
number.
her? You know?
It seems kind of odd, then she could file a lawsuit against Edgewater,
Yeah. She sure could.
because no horses in the
But
room.
they have a blanket that it's not discriminating against her as an individual.
No, neither are we.
We
Well,
are,
if you,
no.
she's the only one that's come to the city with horses, that's all
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
she's not.
No,
Oh, okay.
No, she's not. There are
no, there's
all kinds
several
of families
individuals
that
in
ride
Oak
horses in this
Hill
town.
that ride their horses down to the park.
That's not a business, though.
Right.
And we're not picking on the business.
Well.
We're just saying no horses in the
Horses
park.
If you
in the
say
park.
that, if you say that, you are picking on the business.
Nope.
If you just say horses,
How about no
and she's
livestock?
has approached us, I don't know.
No farm animals.
I wouldn't be in support of that, but I would be in support of, saying that there was businesses in general, if that's
No,
what,
you
if
can't
that's
do
how
that.
strong we felt about
No,
that
you
issue.
Can't do that.
No, I don't.
That's the way that the county does it, and that's the way Edgewater does it. In the county, you can't do any business in the county park. Period.
Maybe you need to look into that.
And that's just my piece on it.
Well, let's have the city administrator look into it. See how the county handles it. If they don't let anything in the parks, no businesses, how do they let charter captains use their boat ramp?
We're not allowed to collect money.
Well, you collect it beforehand.
Right. That's right. And like Alan Norris, they stopped him from tying up to the dock there, and they make him move like a pretty good way off the dock before he could, when he used to sell bait there,
Yeah,
River Breeze. And, let's see, Tom might know a little bit more about that.
They made him move?
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
yeah.
County basically says, you wanna sell there, you can't tie up to the dock, you gotta be at least 3 feet away from the dock to sell anything.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Right. So then you'd be looking at a situation where she collects the money, and all she does is walk down the boat ramp, or the kayak ramp like any other citizen, and she didn't do anything wrong. And I just wanted to, if I could add just one other quick thing.
Yes, sir.
So a horse is an animal, and so are dogs. I mean, they have a different definition, I guess, by the state, you know, because a dog, I guess, it's a domestic animal, and a horse is a farm animal. But as far as like injuries and things like that, I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference of somebody getting bit by a dog or getting stepped on by a horse or bit by a horse or something other than the crushing effect. But, you know, the same liability issues exist.
I don't disagree. I don't like dogs in the park, but I'm not a dog fan.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but that's just a personal opinion. And the issue to me is, if it happens, everybody in this room knows the city will be sued. I don't care if we've got a permit for a business in the park, doesn't matter. We can make the city an additional insured, still get sued. Because lawyers are looking, as everybody knows, deep pockets. So, which way do y'all want to go with this?
They're
Yeah, so
out
they
there
wanted to have
clomping
to
on
look
the
into it.
grass.
Have the city administrator look into see,
What is Edgewater, what is county?
well, Edgewater says no horses.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything.
But then on the business side of the house, I mean, weren't you saying that the county doesn't allow business, there's jumpy houses and stuff like that at Whistle Park, isn't there?
I thought that
Yeah.
Edgewater had a business thing too, but I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure that the county has it.
Okay,
I'm not sure about Edgewater.
Well, they have,
Yeah,
they have
Whistle
things at
Park
Parks
has
Park all the time
jump
with businesses
houses,
and
yeah.
food trucks and all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff
they
there,
got
so.
vending stuffs up there at the park right there in Edgewater
Yeah.
with,
Do they do that from a permit standpoint?
yes. Well, I'm a member of the Rotary, Edgewater Rotary,
Right.
and we do the Pirates,
Yeah.
all right thing, and there's vendors that come up there
Yeah.
and park in that parking lot up there and sell their wares and their food and all that kind of stuff, so it's a permit, kind of thing.
Well, Mr. Adams, if you'll come back with a little information at the next commission meeting, reference what the county does. I think we've already got Edgewater's.
And Jerome, maybe the FWC, just give them a call and see what their position is on the destruction of the seagrass bed. That might be an easy fix right there.
0.
They don't have an opinion on
Nope.
that?
Called them.
I got you.
Yep.
Never mind.
Because I
They're not
reached
the
out to
ones
them to
planting the
see.
grass either.
Yeah, well, you know. Vice Mayor?
Have a TPO board meeting Wednesday morning, and other than that, I don't have anything else.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Everybody be careful. Have a good weekend.
Fishing Wednesday. Going fishing.
Jumping the gun a little.